And now to our next speaker on the panel, which is Atdhe Dema, Mr. Atdhe Dema. Mr. Atdhe Dema is a Kosovo special prosecutor. Mr. Dema serves as a state prosecutor, special prosecution at the Office of the Republic of Kosovo, dealing with criminal cases, organized crime, terrorism, economic, and financial crimes. In the last 2 years, terrorism cases have remained his primary focus, considering the relatively high numbers of Kosovo repatriations from Syrian and Iraq conflict. Mr. Dema represents Special Prosecution Office and the state at the respective courts of the Republic of Kosovo and international institutions, including the evaluation and analysis of specific cases. Prior to work as a prosecutor, Mr. Dema worked as a project manager and legal expert with the UNDP. For 8 years, he has also worked with the Kosovo Customs, where he led in the position of Deputy Director of Customs Investigations and Legal Procedures. Mr. Dema received his law degree at the University of Pristina, Kosovo, and his LLM Masters in American Law at Wake Forest University in North Carolina. Mr. Dema, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. First of all, I want to thank you, ACTRI, for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this webinar on such an important topic. I will try to give an overview of the situation in my country, in the Republic of Kosovo, where I work, in terms of the past, the legal basis, the difficulties that we faced, and lessons learned from the cases that we work on. So first, I want to start with the background of extremism in the Republic of Kosovo. Extremism in Kosovo has long been said to be driven by external influences, mainly in the form of foreign non-governmental organizations that began establishing themselves in Kosovo after the war ended in June 1999. Certain NGOs began with extremist recruitment and indoctrination under the guise of supposed humanitarian assistance during dire post-war economic and social circumstances. These efforts carried out with numerous illegal activities, such as unauthorized preaching, improvisation of properties in their possession into mosques and other activities outside of the structures of former religious network in Kosovo, and in this case, the former religious institution is Islamic Community of Republic of Kosovo, apparently resulted in the recruitment and departure of FTFs from Kosovo to terrorist groups in Syria and Iraq. You should know that based on the fact that Islam as a religion has been present in this area for more than 600 years, and I speak now for the Western Balkans, Kosovo, Macedonia, North Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro, Serbia, and other Bosnia and Herzegovina, and there have never been religious conflicts, and especially, as an example, I would say that Albanians belong to 3 religions, Islam, Catholic, and Orthodox, and there have never been any religious conflicts. The spirit of preaching has changed radically. I speak about after 99, coming into direct conflict with what has been preached up to that point. Quite effectively, they have managed to influence people. And who are these people? Most of them from what has never before practiced any religion, category with low level of education and poor economic conditions. For one thing, just to achieve their goals. At the same time, authorities believe that the United Nations, tasked with transitional administration of Kosovo from June 10, 1999, neglected the issue in favor of focusing on ethnic tensions, which were perceived to be the more urgent problem at the time. However, each level of government, speak about international and national level, has had its own responsibility, and no one has probably taken this issue seriously enough. Not wanting to expand further on the chronological flow of factors that have influenced radicalization, my goal is to talk about the difficulties and legal bases which have emerged during the investigation of concrete cases, specifically by me, And these difficulties are faced from my colleagues, not only in my country, but in the surrounding country too, like in North Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro. On April 2019, government of Republic of Kosovo, in cooperation with US authorities, repatriated 4 male fighters, 32 women, and 74 children, including 9 without parent. The repatriation itself was carried out with substantial help from the United States, as the Republic of Kosovo itself does not have any official relations with FSA-led military alliance in charge of the detention camps in North Syria. The 4 fighters were immediately arrested and sent to the custody. As for women and children, they are initially placed in the asylum center at the military base, controlled 24/7 by the police. As a result of these circumstances, in the Special Prosecutor's Office, we immediately mobilized, activating the temporarily suspended cases. And what I mean with temporarily suspended cases, we had already started investigations earlier due to reasonable suspicion that these individuals had committed a criminal offense, organizing and participating in a terrorist group punishable under our criminal code. After the expiration of the adopted 72-hour emergency plan by the government, the first difficulty we faced was how to deal with this woman, of what measure we should request in order to ensure their presence in this criminal procedure. Based on the fact that they were mothers of minor children, the absolute majority under the age of 7, and that their presence is necessary to care for them, so far we do not have any specialized institution where they can be placed. We as prosecutors, in constant consultation with each other and with our US colleagues, such as those from the embassy, legal department, as well as other representatives of the institutions involved, FBI, Homeland Security, CIA, have decided to request house arrest for them as a more adequate measure to ensure their presence in the criminal proceedings. Further, from the interrogation of the suspects, as well as the gathering of available evidence, it was clear that they were in war zones, in ISIS-controlled territories, lived for a certain period of time in such territories, received aid and pensions from this terrorist organization. But it was difficult to gather evidence that expect their passive role. They did have an active role in ISIS or other terrorist organizations like Al-Nusra. In one form or another, did they actively help, in addition to being housewives and living with their husbands and children? The description given by our criminal code is as follows. This is only to remind all of you participants. Whoever organizes or directs a terrorist group shall be punished by, etc. So whoever organizes or directs a terrorist group. So it was clear that they had neither organized nor run a terrorist group. Paragraph 2 of the same article provides that whoever participates in the activities of a terrorist group. So based on this description of the law, we have held professional discussions on whether the elements provided in paragraph 2 are met and whether we can charge and submit the indictment without having procedural problems. After a proper analysis of the code, especially the expression activity, it was decided to file an indictment against them, which charges that each separately has committed the criminal offense under Article 143, paragraph 2 of the same code. So the criminal code of the Republic of Kosovo. So what we mean with an activity, the fact that they were there, they went voluntarily, all of these things. At the same time, all the evidence that we have received from the US authorities in order to use it in court had to go through the channel of international legal cooperation. And this action took us time, not because of the response. We received them in the proper time from the Department of Justice, but because of the procedure itself as such. In the end, after the completion of all these actions, the charges were submitted to the court. The main trial were held, and not only in my cases, but for all cases, regretting that they had gone to Syria and joined their husbands, they pleaded guilty. The court found them guilty and sentenced them to 2 years probation. The reason for this sentence is because now I speak only about the woman, not about 4 male fighters. But the first thing, they pleaded guilty to the criminal offense for which they are charged. Second, express deep remorse for committing the crime and participating in terrorist organizations in the conflict zone. Third, experience difficult financial situation and childcare. Fourth, the first time they had committed a criminal offense and violates the law. And all these points under our legislation are considering to be mitigating measures, which come as a result of pleading guilty in the main trial. In conclusion, I must say that this operation from the beginning to the end had been thoughtfully developed, and we are one of the very first countries in the world to accept our citizens back and conduct criminal proceedings against them. While for the most majority of countries, repatriation is not in their agenda, concretely about FTFs back. We have undertaken this operation, showing that it should and can be carried out, especially when it comes to citizens of your country. This is because they are still citizens of this country, and for committing the criminal offense, we must bear the responsibility to treat them in accordance with the law. Finally, to say that for all without exception, as for FTFs, women and children, our country tried and being intensively developed reintegration programs, the results of which we are already seeing. Since then, we do not have a single documented case where a citizen has tended to join a terrorist group. The children are continuing their education in a normal way, being involved in daily life and socialized with other children. The returned women are being included in courses, work, and other activities through which their complete reintegration is intended. It is understood that this comes as a result of coordination between the government, other competent institutions, part of which, of course, is my institution, State Prosecution Office, outstanding cooperation in the international level with US authorities, and of course, at the end, the Islamic community of Kosovo, who are really good players in this game. Thank you very much for your attention.